Hi, I'm Joe. I work for a father while managing financial institution risk. I hope you enjoy today's Snapshot podcast.
Some jobs really stink. Take Ed's, for example. Ed works for a small private company out of his home as an IT help desk. His company specializes in supporting legacy systems, which is a euphemism for old, out-of-date equipment and software. And small companies who don't have the financial wherewithal to upgrade usually own them. Ed gets calls at any time, day or night. Calls come in at the most inopportune times, and when the callers are at their wits' end. His work is tedious and usually spent helping people who are at the end of their rope. Over time, his role increased exponentially. His expertise is systems that are obsolete. His compensation had been stagnated, and his recognition had been limited. He is isolated from management, coworkers, and clients. Everything is by the phone. Turning 40, Ed was frustrated. For the short term, for a variety of reasons, changing jobs was not an option. As Ed tells the story from his perspective, he says the Holy Spirit kept bringing to mind his poor attitude. He felt exploited. He knew he shouldn't feel that way. He reminded himself that he worked for his father and he wasn't into exploitation. He was into transformation and the fullness of life. He would ask himself, didn't Jesus suffer exploitation by him on the cross? His was an act of love, and this needed to be what his work was. He reminded himself that he was getting the opportunity to use his talents to build God's kingdom and serve the people around him. This brings him dignity and fulfillment. This is his chance to give back.
Render service with enthusiasm, as to the Lord and not to men and women, knowing that whatever good we do, we will receive the same again from the Lord. Ephesians 6:7-8.
Ed says that his attitude changed drastically when he remembered who he really worked for. This is Ed's own words. Quote, "When I view my work as only a necessary means of survival instead of a glorious calling from my Father, I see only challenges present. I view my compensation as too little and my toil as too great. This is silly. It leads me down a very bad path. Work is something I should cherish, not despise. New gifts begin growing in me when adversity surfaces at work. In these struggles, He transforms me more into His image, while He's also impacting my workplace and influencing others." End of quote. Life can be so hard, especially when we're going through very difficult times at work and they seem to drag on, get worse, and have no end in sight. The problems can seem to overwhelm and consume us. It always seems before us. We try to ward it off, to let go and let God. But it's not easy. It takes an emotional drain on us. It is heavy on our chest. Oh, for the love of God. Wait, that's it. Now that's something we can do. It's what Ed did. Embrace the will of God in that moment for the love of God. Whatever is happening is within God's permitted will. Nothing occurs without His permission. We live in a fallen world. The sweat of work, its thorns and thistles can choke the good of work. This toil can take a physical and mental toll. It can wear us down. Mechanical things don't always work well. People aren't cooperative, supportive, or appreciative. The list goes on. At one level, we could resist and resent the situation. This only led Ed down a darker path. On another level, we could just resign ourselves to endure, passively yielding myself to be under the watchful care of a kind, sympathetic Lord and Master. One who will take care of me and guide me, surrendering it all to Him, stating my faith to be His providence and love for me, knowing He is taking care of everything, even when it's not apparent. But there's an even better way. It's the way Ed chose.
May the Lord direct your hearts to the love of God and to the steadfastness of Christ. 2 Thessalonians 3:5.
We could choose to go through it for the love of God. Ed did it with faith and joy. He showed his trust and love for God in a proactive manner, willingly embracing circumstance gladly, seeing them as part of God's adventure for him, seeing God's transforming grace at work. This is the stuff God uses, not just for Ed, but also for the good of others and the unfolding of his kingdom. It's more than putting up with or surrendering it to his care. It's an expectant leap into the arms of the one who loves us like no other.
Father, grant me the grace I need in my difficulties and failings. In those things I can't control, let me embrace your will for me, guide me by your hand, and lead me in fully participating in your work in me, all for the love of God.
Snapshot podcasts are a project of WorkLight. For more resources like this one, visit us at worklight.org to sign up for our Flame monthly newsletter and our Workday Spark Reflections. While you're there, be sure to learn more about challenge weekends, small groups, and how to become an igniter for Christ.